We heard in the news conference from the Palm Beach Sheriff County, he said, well, he's not a sitting president, we know that, but at least ramp up the level of security. Do you expect those calls to come on Capitol Hill starting tomorrow?
Well, they're already calling now. And you got to ask yourself, why was there not a drone flying over wherever the president is? This is ridiculous. This Palm Beach officer, he needs to be demoted or fired, or if he's elected, his people need to set him aside because he is not fulfilling his duty. Clearly, we have got to be careful because the power of suggestion is what we're seeing right now. The left is just ramped up their vitriol. You've seen the tweets that, they're saying something about they need to learn how to aim better and things like that. Those are the type of things that incite somebody who is on the edge. They know exactly what they're doing. This establishment, the swamp, whatever you want to call it, it's an open sewer. They have thrown down the gauntlet. They know if Donald J. Trump is elected, their days are over. We'll get this country back in order, and they will throw anything and everything at it. The problem is you've got a Secret Service, at least in my opinion and in the public's eye, that is compromised and that it lacks in leadership. And you've got brave agents on the ground, obviously, one who took that shot. But why in the world would anybody be anywhere near the perimeter of this? This line of sight that we talk about is just beyond me. So we've got to get some answers. I don't think we're going to get them during this administration, but hopefully under the Trump administration, we'll clean this rat's nest out. I mean, we've got to go through these departments like Grant through Richmond, brother. We cannot put up with this anymore.
Well, clearly we don't know the motive why the suspect, Ryan Wesley Routh, allegedly, hit himself in the bushes, but he did have a GoPro. What does that tell you? I mean, it seems that he wanted to potentially suggest to put the assassination of President Trump on social media.
100%. It's an ego thing. It's somebody that wants to be somebody. And look, these people that will never know the true story. I'm leaning towards conspiracy on this now because they put this out enough. They put it in somebody's ear. They know these type of people, how they're going to react. Somebody is putting up this kind of information out there, so these lunatics will pull the trigger on this.
It may not be a conspiracy. It could be a lone situation of a lone wolf, someone who's disturbed.
On the last one, that's what everybody said. But, we'll never know that because it's less than a few hours later, they were already washing the roof off, destroying the crime scene. And that creates an air of conspiracy at least to the American public, and you'll never be able to do that. They keep saying, trust us, trust us. Heck, we don't even know what happened to Kennedy, and that was 60 years ago, brother. Washington, D.C. does not turn loose of its secrets very easily, and the American public are right to question this. When you see hard left people putting out negative things about Trump today, saying they missed, they need to learn how to sight their guns in better and things like that. And those people are not being yanked off the air. Why is that? If it had been, good and well, and it should be, if somebody on the other side was saying that, if heaven forbid somebody on the left was shot at or was killed, there would be calls to shut those people down. But they're not doing that now. They're ramping it up, and they're allowed to do that because that is the vitriol that's coming out of Washington, D.C. and the hard left because they know they're in trouble.
Well, in terms of the roof, perhaps the FBI processed the scene. That's why it was washed off. But, others would say it's both sides. You got rhetoric from the hard right, and the level of rhetoric, of hatred, of anger, of divisiveness has been through the roof in this country. And some would say that's enough to push someone who could be mentally unstable or seek some type of glory over the edge.
Well, but you're only seeing that from the far left. And as far as the crime scene goes, dadgummit, there shouldn't have been congressmen and civilians on the roof of that building after that. If there's a crime that happens in East Tennessee, there's going to be tape out. They're going to be investigating it sometimes days later. There should have been a tent over that roof. That should have been locked down, but it was not. You basically had souvenir hunters out there, for goodness sake. So, yeah, the American public has a reason to doubt what's going on right now because they're seeing it. There is no way in hell that somebody should have been that close to President Trump with an AK-style or AK-47 or whatever it was with a scope.
Well, what if it's the lack of
the guy had to surrender.
What if it's
Do
a
I?
lack of, I'm sorry to interrupt, but what if a lack of resources? Or as we heard the sheriff say, he's not the sitting president. They don't, if he was the sitting president, that street would have been shut down. Would you call now, Congressman Burchett, for tighter security and ramping up and treating former President Trump almost to the security level of a current president?
Well, we should have been asking that about Kennedy when Joe Biden refused to give him any Secret Service. I mean, good gosh, what family has suffered more under assassins' bullets than the Kennedys, for goodness sakes? He was denied it, and that was clearly for political reasons. The president's own son going into federal court had more security than was afforded actually Mr. Kennedy. So, this is a political game. That's a bunch of bull. They have billions of dollars to play with. And Trump ought not even, well, they shouldn't even allow him to go outside in an open setting like that, even though who he is. Everybody knows who he is. This was one of those off the record things, but everybody sort of knows his pattern. They know he likes to play golf, and they know when he's in Florida, he's going to play golf. Dadgummit, they should have closed it off. They have the power to do that. They ought to do that. They're going to come to us for more money. I think they need to quit with the DEI hires and start putting qualified people out there in decision-making positions instead of what they're doing right now.
We don't know if DEI had something to do with this, but we do know that this one agent was able to, thankfully, avert a tragedy. So, bottom line from you, let's treat former President Trump on a higher level of security twice in 2 months.
Twice.
It's past time.
It's too many. Both times were due to their lack of ability. Thank God for that brave agent who took those shots.
Yep, we have to thank him. Hopefully, we'll know more about him. And we thank the Secret Service for what they did today. Representative Tim Burchett
100%.
of Tennessee, thank you for your insight and joining us. And they're going to be these calls to actually get more security for the former president after.